book impressions, Stoner by John Williams, part one, the scene where Masters talks to Finch and Stoner and kind of sarcastically, puts them on the pedestal and explains that they are all in certain ways misfits and that the university is there for them, not for the students, certainly not for the science, but for them. And that they are either too smart or too weak or too strong or whatever you want to call it, but that the university, kind of like the church in the Middle Ages, is using science just as a pretext to exist and extract rents from society. Now, that's, I don't know if John Williams thought about that or how he thought about this. I always take authors and their characters separate. But I want to use this line just to explain why this resonates with me, because that's how I feel about the academic world as we speak. I've spent the last 4 years pretty intensely exposed to the academic world in various degrees and functions. It's not important now what I do exactly, but let's just say I've been exposed to many academics in again, various functions. And that's kind of the way I see the world of academia. I think the world of academia is a serious problem for Western liberal societies because it's very similar to the Middle Ages. Like we cherish the world of academia the same way people back then cherished the church, and they expect from the church to give them a home for their spirituality and their souls. And the same, similar, not the same, but similarly, we expect academia to give us education, to give us, science and progress. Like I was at a conference recently about mathematics, and I dare to say that the purpose of mathematics should be to lower the cost of housing and to lower the cost of healthcare. And people just laughed. I mean, they maybe laughed at themselves or at me, it doesn't matter. But that's the level of discrepancy between what I think science should be and where science is, meaning nobody in academia believes that their purpose is to improve the lives of people outside of academia. In fact, academia features itself and nurtures itself. And, I think that's wrong, because here's why this is wrong. Like, you could, in principle, have a place like that where it's kind of like the art world, right? You just do science for the sake of science. You even do science not even for the sake of science, but for the sake of the scientist. The problem with that, of course, is that number one, the scientist lives as a academic trust fund kid on the dime of society. So they're grifters within society, not delivering what they should be delivering. And more importantly, also, they're crowding out maybe the types of people who would be willing to contribute more to society through the work of discovery and knowledge discovery. So my point here is that we have a sort of a malfunction of science and the university that is not just a money problem. I think it's a more serious problem than that. We have a very low return of the taxpayer money and the debt and all the tuitions that are being paid for the students to go to university just to maintain a cabal of scientists and administrators who are not delivering on the knowledge creation, and this is just a side note, also have a big political influence, because of course they're going to make sure that the political side of things keeps nurturing them. So this is akin to, let's say, the teachers unions in the lower like elementary school and high school levels, where they're feeding themselves and harming actually the kids. So if the purpose of our society, if the purpose of capitalism is to improve the future of the next generations, then we have to seriously consider the academic institutions, which I think are a much bigger problem than we like to admit. They are not delivering on knowledge creation. They're creating knowledge just to impress their own peers and improve their position. So it's not even about the science. It's often just about themselves. And I think more importantly also, they're not delivering against the purpose, which should be to lower the cost of healthcare, lower the cost of housing, lower the cost of transportation. Those are the kinds of things that we want as a society from the academic institutions. We want to improve we want our lives to improve, because when we make this Faustian bargain with Prometheus, as a society, we are betting on technological progress, which by itself is questionable, and there's reasons not to bet on that. Zeus was angry at Prometheus because he showed man light and fire. But we decided we want to do it. We want to have technology. We want to have progress. And the academic institutions are there to teach the next generations about the knowledge that we have about technology, so we can improve the lives of everybody on Earth. This has to be the purpose, and not to improve the situation of the scientists. We have, for example, tenure, which is untenable. Excuse me for the pun here, but this is not okay. Like people should be fired. People should be accountable. The age index is about, it can be gamed. Like what you should be is like Chintindra Malik, who prides himself, or whose colleagues pride him by the many students that he inspired and mentored. That should be the benchmark, and not age index and things like that. All of these other things are related, but first and foremost, the purpose of academia is to teach. And I think this dialogue, or this trialogue between Masters, Finch, and Stoner is a very nice, concise way to describe this problem, decades ago, and I think it's still there.